Your brand new vehicle has built-in factory settings that are actively destroying its mechanical longevity from the moment you drive it off the lot. Most owners have no idea that the features they trust to save them fuel or protect the environment are actually engineered to push major components to the brink of failure right as the powertrain warranty expires. Today, I am exposing 5 factory settings that are causing hidden damage and severe mechanical inefficiency without you ever knowing. Setting number 3 has caused more catastrophic engine failures in my shop over the last 48 months than poor maintenance ever could. And setting number 1 is so deceptive that owners actually think it is a premium feature benefiting their wallet when it is doing the exact opposite. Let's get into it. Let's start with setting number 5, the modern auto start-stop default configuration. Manufacturers market this feature as a high-tech fuel saver that cuts emissions at every red light. But here is what Ford, General Motors, and Toyota do not tell you. In a traditional vehicle, an engine might experience 50,000 start cycles over its entire operational lifespan. With auto start-stop permanently enabled by default, that number skyrockets to over 500,000 cycles. As a technician, I look at the physical reality inside the block. When your engine is running, the crankshaft floats on a microscopic film of pressurized oil inside the journal bearings. This is hydrodynamic lubrication, and it prevents metal-to-metal contact. The second the engine shuts down, that oil pressure drops to 0 psi, and the heavy steel crankshaft settles directly onto the aluminum lead bearing shells. Every single time the light turns green and the starter fires, those metal surfaces grind against each other for a fraction of a second before oil pressure can reestablish at 35 psi. I have personally inspected rod bearings from 3-year-old engines with under 40,000 miles, and the sacrificial Babbitt layer was already worn down to the copper backing. You are saving pennies in fuel while grinding your engine bearings to dust. The solution is simple. Make it a hard habit to press the auto start-stop override button every single time you buckle your seatbelt. Or install a plug-and-play memory module that keeps the system disabled by default. Setting 4 is one that manufacturers market as a major convenience feature, but under normal driving conditions. It is creating the exact environment that destroys your transmission, the ultra-low RPM transmission shift logic. To cheat the EPA fuel economy tests, modern 8, 9, and 10-speed automatic transmissions are programmed to upshift as early as possible, forcing the engine to lug along at a mere 1200 RPM by the time you reach 30 miles per hour. This creates a massive mechanical mismatch. At 1200 RPM, the engine is struggling to generate torque, which forces the transmission's torque converter clutch into a state of continuous micro-slip modulation to smooth out the engine's power vibrations. Instead of the clutch locking solid, the factory software commands a constant 5% slip rate. This creates immense localized friction, raising the internal fluid temperature inside the valve body past 240 degrees Fahrenheit. Transmission fluid oxidizes rapidly at these temperatures. For every 20-degree increase above 175 degrees, the life of that fluid is cut directly in half. The cumulative damage is completely invisible until the day your transmission slips, shudders, and throws a pressure fault code because the fluid has turned into a burnt, varnished sludge. To prevent this, stop driving in the default eco or standard comfort modes during stop-and-go city traffic. Switch the vehicle into sport mode or manual select mode when driving under 45 miles per hour. This adjusts the factory shift logic, forcing the transmission to hold gears longer, keeping your engine up in its efficient 2000 RPM power band and eliminating the constant destructive clutch slippage. Those first 2 settings are bad enough, but as we move up the countdown, the engineering compromises get significantly more destructive. Setting number 3 is the absolute pinnacle of planned obsolescence masquerading as advanced maintenance tech, the factory 10,000-mile oil life monitor calibration. Walk into any dealership service department, and the service writers will confidently tell you that because modern vehicles use full synthetic oil, you only need to change it every 10,000 miles or once a year. The dashboard oil life algorithm backs this up, counting down slowly based on laboratory models of oil degradation. But here is the cold mechanical truth they are omitting. Synthetic base stocks do not break down at 10,000 miles, but the additive packages, the detergents, anti-wear agents, and friction modifiers are completely depleted by mile 5,000. Worse, the oil filter becomes fully saturated with microscopic carbon soot and debris long before that 10,000-mile mark. Once a filter reaches maximum capacity, a mechanical bypass valve opens inside the housing to prevent oil starvation, allowing completely unfiltered oil to recirculate directly back into your engine. I have pulled thousands of full samples from engines running these extended factory intervals, and the results are terrifying. At 8,000 miles, the oil is highly acidic, floating with suspended silicon and iron particulates, and its viscosity has sheared down significantly. This thin, abrasive fluid flows directly into the variable valve timing actuators and onto the timing chain guides. The tiny oil passages feeding the timing chain tensioners plug up with sludge, dropping oil pressure to those critical components. The timing chain stretches, the plastic guides shatter, and the pistons slam directly into the valves, completely destroying your top end. This setting is designed to make the vehicle look cheap to maintain during the initial lease period while leaving the second owner with a $20,000 engine replacement bill. The mechanical fix is non-negotiable. Ignore the dashboard monitor completely. Ignore the manufacturer's extended schedule, and perform a physical oil and filter change every 5,000 miles or 6 months without exception. That brings us to setting number 2, a feature marketed as a premium comfort and convenience luxury, but one that is quietly warping your engine's internal architecture: the extended factory remote start runtime default. Modern vehicle apps and key fobs allow you to remote start your vehicle from your kitchen table, letting it idle in your driveway for 15 to 20 minutes to warm the cabin or cool it down before you step inside. What the manufacturer hides behind this luxury feature is the phenomenon of severe cold start fuel dilution. When an engine is first started from a completely cold state, the factory engine control module commands an incredibly rich fuel-to-air ratio to keep the cold engine running smoothly and heat up the catalytic converters. Because the aluminum pistons have not yet expanded to their full operational size, the clearance between the piston rings and the cylinder walls is at its maximum. When you let the vehicle sit there and idle at low RPM, the unburnt, atomized fuel sprays against the cold cylinder walls washes away the defensive film of engine oil and blows right past the piston rings directly into the oil pan. This causes fuel dilution, lowering the flash point of your motor oil and stripping away its ability to load bare. Instead of warming up your vehicle safely, 20 minutes of idling ensures that your engine oil becomes heavily diluted with raw gasoline. The next time you hit the highway and push the engine hard, that thin, fuel-contaminated oil cannot maintain the required hydrodynamic barrier, cooking your engine bearings and scoring the cylinder walls. The solution requires a complete shift in your morning routine. Lower the factory remote start timer setting in your dashboard infotainment menu to the minimum of 5 minutes, or stop using it altogether. Start the vehicle manually. Wait exactly 30 to 60 seconds for the oil pressure to fully stabilize across the valve train, and then drive the vehicle gently. An engine warms up 4 times faster under a light driving load than it does idling in a driveway, minimizing fuel dilution and saving your internal components from accelerated wear. We have unmasked the destructive default logic of start-stop systems, early shifting, extended oil intervals, and prolonged cold idling. That brings us to setting number 1, the absolute most deceptive, harmful factory configuration in the modern automotive landscape: the programmed, dampening algorithm oil pressure and coolant temperature dashboard gauges. Most drivers glance at their dashboard, see the temperature needle sitting perfectly in the middle, or a digital OK graphic, and assume their engine is operating in absolute safety. You think you have an active window into your engine's vitals. But here is the multi-million-dollar secret the manufacturers are hiding behind the glass. Those are not active gauges. They are glorified dummy lights programmed by factory software to lie to you. The manufacturer intentionally installs a wide, deadband filtering algorithm into the vehicle's body control module. For example, a modern engine's coolant temperature might fluctuate wildly from a safe 190 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to a dangerous 240 degrees. But the dashboard needle is programmed to lock dead center, completely immovable. Why do they do this? Because the manufacturer does not want you driving into the dealership service bay complaining about normal thermal fluctuations or a minor drop in oil pressure at a red light. They prioritize a calm user experience over mechanical transparency. But the consequences of this engineering lie are catastrophic for your powertrain. By the time that dampened factory needle finally moves into the red zone or flashes a warning light, the engine has already been running at critical thermal limits for miles. At 245 degrees, the aluminum cylinder head is actively warping. The multi-layer steel head gasket is crushing past its recovery point, and the valve stem seals are hardening into brittle plastic. You are starved for protection because the factory setting explicitly withheld the data you needed to pull over and save your engine before it melted down. I have torn down hundreds of scorched engines where the owner swore on their life that the dashboard indicator never showed an overheat condition until the exact moment the engine seized. The factory gauge is engineered to protect the manufacturer from minor customer inquiries, not to protect your wallet from a $10,000 catastrophic failure. The solution to this systemic deception is to take the data back into your own hands. Do not rely on the factory dashboard programming. Spend $60 on a high-quality OBD2 Bluetooth data monitor or an integrated gauge display, like a ScanGauge. Plug it directly into your vehicle's diagnostic port under the steering column and configure it to read raw, unfiltered streaming data directly from the engine sensors. This allows you to monitor the actual real-time degrees and true oil pressure numbers, giving you the immediate warning necessary to shut down the engine. The second a cooling fan fails or a coolant hose develops a pinhole leak, when you look at all 5 of these factory configurations together, a very clear, disturbing pattern emerges. Your modern vehicle is not set up from the factory to maximize your ownership lifespan. It is configured to pass emissions tests, look cheap to maintain on paper for the first 3 years, and keep you entirely in the dark about the active wear occurring under the hood. From the metal-on-metal scraping of the default auto start-stop system to the fluid cooking logic of early transmission shifting, the 5,000-mile oil filter bypass, the cold fuel washing of your cylinder walls, and the artificial silence of your dashboard gauges, the system is rigged against long-term reliability. But you do not have to be a victim of their engineering compromises. By changing a few simple habits, manually disabling start-stop, using sport mode in heavy traffic, swapping your oil strictly at 5,000 miles, cutting your morning idle short, and installing a real data monitor, you strip away the engineered obsolescence and reclaim control over your vehicle's lifespan. You save thousands of dollars in premature repairs by using simple, calculated mechanical discipline. If this baseline truth-telling changed how you intend to operate and maintain your vehicle today, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Stop letting the factory programming dictate how long your investment lasts. Take care of the machine, drive smart, and I will see you in the service bay.